it's Reagan and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing and finishing my series of most anticipated releases, and this time I'm going to be focusing on the winter of 2019. We are in the home stretch of the year. We have 2 months left, and honestly some of the best releases were saved for last. I have so many books I've been highly anticipating through the tail end of this year, so many continuations of series I love, and so many new releases from a lot of new authors I've never read before, so I'm super excited to share my list with you guys today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. So first and foremost, let's go through some of the continuations of some series very beloved to myself and many of you guys. The first one is Keeper of the Lost City's Legacy. This is book 8 to the Keepers of the Lost City series. I have been reading this series since December of last year and through the entirety of this year. I've loved so many of the books. I'm obsessed with the characters. This is a super fun and engaging middle grade series full of magic and adventure and friendship and love, both familial and friendship and otherwise. And it's literally just one of the most endearing and captivating stories. It's full of so many twists and turns, and I'm really excited to see kind of how the end game begins to develop. This is one of the last books in this series. I believe there's going to be 10 in all, so I'm really curious to see what Sophie and everyone gets up to in this book. This comes out November 5th. Definitely have it pre-ordered and can't wait to read it. Another book that comes out on November 5th is The Toll. This might be my most anticipated book of the year. This is the third book to the very popular Neil Shusterman series, the first one of course being Scythe. This is a dystopian style world where basically humanity has solved all of its issues in a way where basically no one can die, like disease, famine, all of that stuff has been dealt with, so people basically live forever. So a way to kind of control the population is there are individuals called scythes, which are allowed to kill. Scythes kind of approach their craft in many different ways, and basically individuals who should probably be very empathetic and like emotionally tapped in because they have a very dark job. It's not necessarily the case. There's a lot of corruption and greed, and you kind of encounter and go through this story through the perspectives of 2 scythes in training. It's just so fascinating and interesting, and on top of that, the plot is just one that will just keep you guessing. So, to say the least, anticipating the third book, I've been dying for it. So I'm so excited for this to come out, and I will be reading it right away. Another super great continuation is The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This is another third book to a fae-centered story that I'm so obsessed with. This is like the perfect angsty love, hate, hate situation in terms of romantic relationship, and I'm just dying. Like, this series has perfectly crafted the most like on the edge of your seat romance, if you can call it that, between 2 people where you just cannot put the book down. It's engaging, it's dark, it's delicious. This is a fae-centered story that has a power struggle like you wouldn't believe. But basically we follow our main character who is half fae, half human, and she basically has been raised in this world where she's always been viewed as an outsider. She's kind of tormented. In the first book, she's basically presented with an opportunity to take some power for herself by becoming a spy. She finds herself at the center of a lot of different politics, and basically that's all you need to know. It's amazing. It's so good. I can't wait for this to come out. 2 more series continuations, and then I have some new books to talk about. The next one is Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. This is the sequel to Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, which was one of the books that surprised me more last year. Not because I was anticipating not to like it, it's just, I don't know, I felt like there had to be a ceiling for Brandon Sanderson, but I clearly have not encountered it yet, and this was not Skyward was not the book to do so. Because it was an amazing, fast-paced science fiction story that's basically set in a super fascinating world. It's basically a colony of humans. They've kind of left Earth, I suppose, and have had to colonize in a new land. They've been kind of like chased through space. And over time, developments in their society have basically over-glorified like honor and bravery to the point of like extremes. Therefore, any element of cowardice is deeply looked down upon, so much that you just become ostracized. For that, we follow our main character who has always dreamed of being a pilot. However, she's kind of viewed as an outcast in society because her father, who was a once famous pilot, was actually like accused of cowardice because he ran away during a battle. All of this kind of leads up to our main character finding a unique item in a cave, which forces her way into pilot school and training. It's full of fascinating combat, really well written like space flying combat. I mean, there's illustrations, it's just so visual. Plus, I mean, there's just a Brandon Sanderson plot at its center that's just going to ruin your life, but make your life at the same time. It's great. I need the next book. I cannot wait. The next book I'm super anticipating that is a continuation is Children of Virtue and Vengeance. This, of course, is the sequel to Children of Blood and Bone, which I read last year and really loved. I honestly would need to reread the first one because I have forgotten everything, but this is an African-inspired fantasy story, which is just stock full of great politics and amazing characters. It's full of like unlikely friendships and foes, people coming together. I've honestly forgotten a lot, so I need to reread the first one, but I'm particularly excited for this second one to come out, and I know a lot of people are right there with me, but this just has one of the coolest kind of magic systems that's inspired by African history, which I just think is like so rich to the story itself. But yeah, definitely looking forward to this one. All right, now going into the books that I haven't read the first or second or third one of yet. The first one is Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the first book to a new Maggie Stiefvater trilogy, which honestly I'm just generally behind in her books, but that doesn't mean I can't be excited about some of her newer releases. Reading one of the main characters' names, I'm now realizing that this might not be a new series, but rather a continuation of a series, but one of our main characters, Ronan, is a dreamer, and he can pull both curiosities and catastrophes out of his dreams. I think that sounds really, really interesting. I love the idea of kind of like being able to use the darkest and most uncontrollable parts of your imagination, I guess dreams in this case, to kind of impact the reality around you. While two other main characters, Jordan, who is a thief, and Cameron, who is a hunter, and her brother was a dreamer and a killer. So I think all of these characters kind of collide in a really interesting way. But yeah, I really like Maggie Stiefvater's writing. I have been meaning to read one of her, well, finish one of her other series for a long time now. So, you know, why not add another one to my TBR? Next book I have is WinterWood, and this is honestly just kind of a dark, mythical sounding YA fantasy, which kind of has a premise that always sells me no matter how many times I've kind of encountered it before. And that is basically on the premise of a dark and magical forest that has surrounded a town for as long as anyone can remember. It's a creepy place. It is an uncontrollable place. It is a very like mystical place. And only our main character, who is hiding as a witch, can kind of understand the magic. And her world is kind of turned upside down when she runs into a boy who has been missing from an all-boys school nearby, and he should be dead because he basically survived in the forest alone, one of the worst snowstorms ever seen. And so from there, the forest never seems to be the same, and there's kind of like a mystery covering everything. Again, magical forest, magic, probably like old magic. I'm excited, so I'm really looking forward to this one. Next is the Starless Sea, and this is Erin Morgenstern's newest release. I actually have not read The Night Circus. It's a book I've had on my list for as long as I can remember, but I am still really excited about this one. I've always been super intrigued to read her books, not only for the plot, but also the beautiful writing I've just heard that she has. I just feel like her writing style is very dreamlike and captivating, so for that reason, I really am excited about this book. This is a story where we follow our main character, Zachary, who basically stumbles upon this really bizarre and interesting book one day. In this book, he reads of tales of all sorts of prisoners long past. He encounters just like lost worlds, but then he stumbles upon something interesting. In this book also includes a story from his childhood. From there, this book includes a bunch of clues and sends him out on an adventure throughout New York City. It sounds bizarre, a little bit peculiar, and overall I would say I'm just very intrigued to see what happens. Also, I apologize for this lighting. It's one of those cloudy days, what can I say? And the last book I'm going to talk about is The Song of the Crimson Flower. This is a book I've kind of had my eye on. I've been wanting to read one of this author's books for a while, and this new release has definitely kind of caught my eye. It's a love story, probably with a lot of fate involved, and basically we follow our main character who rejected someone, then she kind of changes her mind, and then they kind of have to go on this journey together. I'm really hoping it's full of beautiful writing, really interesting magical elements, but I'm definitely curious by it. It's intrigued me in a lot of ways, so I'm excited to pick it up and see what I think. Alright guys, those are my most anticipated books for the rest of 2019. Let me know down below some books you're really highly anticipating before the year's end, as I would love to know, and I'll see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye!